All right, everyone. Welcome to this weekend Sidereal Astrology forecast. This is for April 20th through the 22nd of 2018. All right, so a quiet weekend here. Not a whole lot going on astrologically, but we do have some sign changes with the moon. We've got the moon in Gemini Friday and Saturday. So really good couple days, I think, for getting in touch with that inquisitive side of ourself. Really good for learning, communication, this type of practical stuff in life. It can certainly be emphasized. We are still in the very early phase of the lunar month still, but we are starting to enter into the first quarter phase. So maybe this weekend, good to start to challenge ourselves and take some initiative based on some of the new beginnings we've had since earlier this week. All right, so once we get into Sunday, some things sort of shift. We have the moon going into Cancer. So from the mental side of things into the more emotional side of things, really good for getting in touch with our feelings, the past, our protective nature. And we do have Pluto going retrograde. So although we don't feel this very personally, we may notice there's a bit of a pause now with some of the deeper stuff we've been working on the last 6 months. So a pause with that, but also a reflection and learning about what we've been perhaps diving deep with, healing with, and transforming with. All right, so let's look at all of this here in more detail when we return. All right, so let's go ahead and break this down one day at a time here. We'll look at Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Again, this video is for Sidereal Astrology. If you are new to the channel, check out that link down below because the signs are different from mainstream astrology. All right, so let's take a look at Friday. We have the moon shifting into Gemini, going over the arm of Orion out of Taurus. So what this essentially means is that Wednesday, Thursday was likely a little bit more about the grounded aspects of life, taking things slowly and steadily, and now going into more of the mental and inquisitive aspects of Gemini. So we may notice that shift, and maybe with Orion, the physical aspects of things, right? It's kind of combined energy between Taurus and Gemini, perhaps learning about our values, taking action towards our values. It's very much about the physical manifestation of going after the things we value and really just using our mind to cultivate them or to learn more about them with Gemini. So really good for these types of things, and we may notice that there is this theme pertaining to this more rational, practical, and even physical aspects of our manifestations. All right, so that's Friday. As you can see here, no major aspects going exact that day in particular. But again, we are building a bit of momentum now with the lunar month. So last weekend, we did have a new moon in Pisces. And so still great to be cultivating any new things that we've been becoming aware of or wanting to cultivate since early this week. And this weekend, we do enter into the first quarter phase. So it will be good to maybe start to take some of that action and initiative to turn some of that stuff into fruition. Now, of course, it's still been a very dreamy time, right? So the sun is technically still finishing up Pisces this weekend. Mercury still in Pisces. So still good to be developing these spiritual qualities of life, right? This acceptance and bringing in a bit of peace into our life through that acceptance. All right, so that is Friday there with that Gemini sort of shift. I do want to say we have a bit of a T-square here with the moon, Mercury, and Saturn. So again, anything you can do to initiate, but maybe here particularly with learning, sharing, exchanging, this type of practical stuff. When taking that initiative can be a great way of working with that type of energy. Also, maybe doing a bit of a status check as well, just generally with what you've been building in your life. Could be good with the moon opposite Saturn. All right, so once we get into Saturday here, the moon will be well set into Gemini. So really good for, again, the same type of stuff, learning, communication, exchanging, all this kind of synergy in life. And this is when we might start to feel a bit of this Pluto going retrograde. So thinking back to the past 6 months, what have you been diving deep with? What have you been maybe facing some fears with? All of this stuff starts to go into a reflection here this later part of the weekend. So with the station, of course, there's a pause. So we do get a break with some of this deeper stuff, which allows us a time to internalize some of it and rethink it, readapt to it. So down below, I will put in the comment section which house this will be retrograde for you personally. So if you know your sidereal sign, do check that out. That is for the sun, moon, and or ascendant, although I do recommend the ascendant if you do know what that is. And there's also a calculator down below to find out your sidereal signs. All right, so that'll be more personal in terms of what house this is reflecting in. It's the same area Saturn was retrograde in earlier in the week. But collectively, this is in Sagittarius. So collectively, this could be a shift to our belief systems, reflecting on what are our belief systems, how do we see things, what's our perspective, and changing that. Pluto's all about seeing things in a new light with perhaps more non-attachment, and this, through non-attachment, being willing to change our perspective. So this is going to be activated again later next week when Mars goes over Pluto. We'll talk about that, but maybe this sort of now re-examination, reconsideration of some of these beliefs on Sunday. All right, so that's the energy there. On Sunday, the moon will be shifting into Cancer. So again, going from the mental side of things, probably into a bit of the more soul-based aspects of things. Really good day on Sunday to connect to our feelings, our bodies, the past, getting in touch with this reflective nature. All of this type of stuff can be great, and we could notice themes pertaining to that. All right, so that's the weekend. One last thing I do want to say is that the sun is going to be shifting into Aries technically late Sunday, but mostly going into next week. So we may start to feel this sort of shift of focus where we are coming out of some of this deep watery energy of Pisces we've been feeling for months now, actually, and going into a bit more of a easier energy to work with for the sun. In fact, the sun is exalted in Aries. So when it comes to our focus, our vital life force, our self-expression, this type of stuff does get a bit invigorated with the sun in Aries. So do give it time. Like I said, it'll probably be mostly next week. But yeah, maybe feeling a little bit more energized, active, and independent with that Aries energy. All right, so have a fantastic weekend, everyone. Thank you again for watching and all of your support. Don't forget to hit that like button, and I'll see you all Monday for the daily forecast.